thank you, Amar, for joining us today for our design story series.
Thank you, Kritika.
And how's it been for you during this lockdown?
Oh, we never expected something, this kind of things will come up in our lifetime. And our earlier generation, they talk about, Second World War, India-Pakistan war, all the ups and downs in the economy. And we did not have any story to tell them. And our life was going easy. So probably we have got some story that what we have experienced that no one has experienced in their lifetime, right? The entire world was never closed down.
Yeah.
So it's a different. Initially there was I can say a little bit kind of an anxiety, but now we have started getting settled. The new normal of working from home has started flowing into the blood and getting more and more conversant with this. I must say that it's not the most happy kind of a thing for anybody. I can vouch for that. But yes, we are trying to do the best in the scenario that we can do, taking all the precautions, safety measures, and following the government instructions.
So before I start asking you on the design front, the questions, could you just tell us in brief about your journey? Because I was going through your whole journey. It's been quite inspiring, I'm sure, for our young viewers also. So in brief, if you could just tell us about your journey so far, how it's been, and what made you enter in this particular field.
Well, I must say that nobody from our family was into the civil line or into the design line. But since childhood, I was, kind of good at drawings and given few exams and the drawings and all. So going ahead, I used to see the buildings and get excited about it. That time I did not know what architecture was meant. But when I started little bit knowing more, I thought that, okay, this is the line probably I can do my career into. I can enjoy this. That one thing which was kind of an embossed on my mind from one of our college teachers. It's like if you enjoy your work in your life, you don't have to work in the life.
Yeah.
That's most important. So that's where I chosen architecture, and the journey I can say that so far has been quite. I won't say it's a kind of a contentment level has reached. There is always the best yet to come, but it's been quite kind of a rewarding, I must say, and where I could also contribute more. Something to the field, and where the field has also rewarded me. Did my graduation from Shivaji University, D.Y. Patil College, was university gold medalist in that, and then continued working. Continued my academic at CPT Ahmedabad with the post graduation. Worked with Pritzker laureate Balkrishna Doshi in my founding years. He had been my external guide even for the thesis. After so many years, he has accepted someone, to guide in the thesis, and that's where I can say that the opening up of the vision or the horizon has started for me. At the founding years of the career, when you see the large projects happening, and when you work with masters, work with where there is kind of certain development of the mind, it helps a lot. So that is what has happened. Then I worked with Pudianwala's office, and then the corporate journey started with the Reliance and Kalpataru. So Reliance Retail, I was heading the retail infrastructure, mixed-use retail infrastructure, and then worked with Omkar for about 10 years. Did some of the top iconic buildings like Altamonte in 1973, which has given the kind of a luxury quotient to the entire working. And before that, I had done Tata Housing's some of the projects which were kind of an affordable housing. And those were some of the most successful affordable housing projects ever built in the country. So this is the journey so far with Mahindra Lifespaces, almost about 1.5 years now, 18 months, and trying to put all this knowledge, so far what I have gained in this journey into the practice. Doing some fantastic projects, about 3,000 acres at Jaipur, World City, Mahindra World City, where we are doing about 600 acres of the mixed-use development, supporting the industrial township that we are doing in the World City. Chennai is our 1,500 acres, again Mahindra World City. There it's a kind of a quite developed, and we are doing few other phases of it, and a lot of focus on the sustainability in all these projects, I must say.
Yeah.
which has remained, I can say that the kind of a spine or the backbone of my entire journey. And here further, we are practicing it in much more matured way. We have got some good residential projects which are coming up in the city, which is in Nagpur. We have got a wonderful residential project called Bloomdale. We have got 3 residential projects over here in the city of Mumbai. A couple of them are in Andheri. One is in Kandivli. Beautiful projects. We have got 3 projects in Pune also going on. Again, good size project, about 1,000 apartments per project kind of projects.
Nice.
And everywhere we are trying to do that, how our customer get the best of the both the worlds. I mean, both the worlds in the sense in terms of cost, how we can ensure that they get the houses in their budget. And when it goes in terms of the operational cost as well, during the maintenance time, that our focus is that through our sustainability drive, that how we can ensure that their OPEX becomes kind of manageable or lower. And I can say that what are the best things that I have learned during the journey in terms of the bringing in the luxury quotients or bringing in the upscale lifestyle, that how we can bring it into the kind of a cost which is the affordable segment. We have got good affordable projects also under our Happiness brand, which we are doing in Kalyan and in Palkar. One we've completed in near Chennai in Avdi also. So that's again a different segment, about 50 lakhs plus minus little bit apartments that we are doing, which gets into the affordable segment. But in the affordable also, it's always our thought that affordable is not something which is a low cost. Affordable is something, it's like when the Mercedes has got the S class and E class. I mean, they also have got the A class.
Right.
Okay. So the brand values and the expertise or the specialties, the construction qualities, all those remain at the core. What is happening is we just take out some frills, which goes into the premium segments. But in terms of the quality and hygiene, there is no compromise at all. So this is the brief journey so far, short.
So if I may say so, I would consider you are like a creative person and you are an artist in this particular field, right? So have you faced any challenge when it comes to especially corporate area of real estate?
Earlier doing from consultancy to moving into the corporate world, why it has happened is that here you take the entire ownership of the projects. Yes. You are not the consultant, you are not the service provider, but you are the owner of that project, which gives much larger responsibility and sense of belongingness when you do the projects. And that's where I started enjoying delivering the project. And when I started growing and started understanding more about the project, it's not only about the design, but I started handling overall pre-construction management part of it. So that which again covers in terms of the procurement of the items, quality procurement of the items, in terms of using the construction technology so that the cost is in control and we can deliver the best that product. So that entire thing, end to end, it ensures that the concept which has been envisaged at the beginning of the project, or the thought which has been developed at the beginning of the project, it's not diluted during the journey of the project. So that is the best satisfaction that one gets. Right. I must say that yes, there were few challenges. It's not that the challenges were not there into the corporate. We are in the business, right? And yes, I want to build Taj Mahal. Okay, but for the Taj Mahal to build, there has to be that kind of a customer also has to be there. So we have to deliver what is best. So for every home, for that customer, it's his heaven. Okay, so what is most important in our journey and learnings in this journey is the customer is the most important. But it's not that always the customer understands what is best for him. Yeah. So it's like we have to educate the customer also what is good for him, what will be the sustainable, what will have the longevity, in terms of these things, and then we try to deliver the best. So this is the kind of a challenge, I must say that, but it's good. This challenge, sometimes when you take this kind of challenge, you also, your skills also get challenged. Right. With this, your thinking also gets challenged and something new comes up. And fortunately, I was able to convince all my owners wherever I worked, and there was a good synergies. And Mahindra, it's coming up at the best, I must say. And it's a kind of a good resonance which gives the best of the melodies.
So at Mahindra Lifespaces, what are the core values which you try to imbibe in your designs?
See, it's been very transparent kind of an organization. The build responsibly and sell genuinely. That is the kind of our ethos in the entire journey. And when we say that build responsibly, sell genuinely, that means that at any point of time there are no false commitments to the customer. Whatever we build, whatever our values that we imbibe in our, I can say the system or as the Mahindra Group, which is as a trust in terms of doing the best or giving the best possible things, delivering on time, delivering the quality products. All those things, they start getting developed first on the paper. Because we always believe that whatever is the design, whatever is the good thing which happens, it always happens on the paper or at the drawing board. What goes to the site is only the implementation and sometimes some resolving of the site issues. So we always ensure that we follow this journey from getting the design brief, or the project brief, which goes with which gets into it a lot of research, market research, customer feedbacks, earlier customers' views, what are the things. So there's a constant improvement and the research, and then we get it on the board, and that's where our kind of a product development starts. And then we ensure that whatever is the kind of a thought process for that product which gets imbibed at that level, we deliver it in the right manner.
Okay. So what is, so during COVID time, also, I have spoken to a lot of creative people, like traveling inspires, either certain architectures inspires. What inspires you behind your designs, and how you keep yourself inspired on day-to-day basis? Because I'm sure you're involved in a lot of projects. So how you de-associate with different projects, and how you make yourself evolve when it comes to design, when it comes to inspiration? What is your whole recipe behind this?
Okay, it's a very good question. There are two or three things I must say. Ultimately it's values, values and the self-motivation which keeps you going. It's like once you learn, riding a bicycle, you never forget in your life. Probably there may be kind of a little bit of the efforts again when you're to restart, but you never lose the balance. So once your fundamentals or your foundations of this entire career are strong, then there is very little chance that you will fall apart. So here I remember always my guru, Balkrishna Joshi. He's 92 now. Okay. And I must say that he's as or probably more fit than you and I. And I had a chance to meet him again just about 2 years back at when he completed his 90 years on that journey. We had a good time which we spent together. And I was with my family. I visited to him. And everybody was amazed, the kind of an energy that he told one very interesting thing. It's like, anything that we do, we should enjoy in our life.
Right.
If you are not enjoying that, that means you're somewhere you're not on the right track.
True.
So that's the kind of a thing which keeps you going on. The key important things, in this entire journey, or what are the learnings from him, I must say, it's when we start doing something, every new project or any new thought which comes to my mind, there has to be a kind of a fulfillment, or there has to be a kind of an excitement when we start doing something, that yes, we are doing something. We are creators ultimately. Yeah. And the creativity cannot come with unhappy minds. So you have to be happy always to do something creative. So there are a couple of things which I learned from him. When we start doing any project or any concept, what he mentioned is, you should do a sketch, very abstract kind of a sketch, irrespective of whatever is the kind of a project. Okay, do a kind of a nice drawing, thinking about the best possible things, and we should write a kind of a poem. Okay, because these are the two things, which will bring out the best out of your out of your soul, out of your mind, and then you start getting into the design. Okay, because these are the two things. There cannot be any evil that you can express. It's always, and that is the way that you kind of motivate yourself, that bring the best of the output from you, and then you start designing. Second most important thing is it's always the teamwork. It's been said, you are always good as your team.
Right.
So what I ensure is always I keep on motivating my team, and the motivated team always gives the results, which further motivate me to do something. So, I mean, it's a team. We don't work hierarchically. I mean, there are hierarchies in the processes, but not when it comes to the work. I mean, idea is not one man's monopoly. So yes, there is a kind of mutual respect for each other's ideas, and also it becomes kind of a one family kind of a work, which is another thing which keeps on keep together and keep motivating always.
Yeah, that's great to know. So I wanted to understand, like in today's time, more environmental awareness is happening among all the people.
Yes.
It has, in comparison to impacted the real estate market as well in India. So what are the new sustainability trends that you have noticed in the real estate market that you feel Indian developers are now started adapting to it?
Oh, I mean, a few days back, I had taken a session on the sustainability with my team. And see, sustainability, I mean, it has again become a kind of a few years back. I mean, not now. I mean, few years back, it has again started with kind of a term which was coined for the marketing. Okay. So, I mean, during my founding years with Doshi, I can say in 95, 96 also, we were doing the sustainable architecture. But that sustainability was very different. Yeah. Okay, that sustainability was really, going towards the nature, going to the nature, going back to the, roots, doing the plantation, understanding the environment, understanding the climatology, all those kind of, so those were built in our architecture in any way. The sustainability now, which has come up with the green buildings or with the Gruha norms, it's a kind of an re-institutionalization of those things, which started with a lot of focus on the green emission of the green gases and carbon dioxide emission, carbon monoxide emission, and due to the industrialization, where the products which started coming in the market, they were doing all this kind of an unhygienic, bringing unhygienic exhaust, I can say, elements into the unrecyclable kind of an elements into the environment, and that's where the industry has developed, and then they started developing the green products, and all this journey had started first in the developed countries, and it has started coming up to India, and then they institutionalize this, saying with the funds and all those things that we use our products, these are the green rated and all those things. But now entire thing has started becoming again indigenous. So when we discussed about all these things, I must tell you very interesting things. What is this sustainability? It's all about. It's all about our Pancha Mahabhuta Tattvas, right? Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, all these Pancha Mahabhuta Tattvas. Prithvi, Aap, Teja, Jala, Vayu. So these are the Panch Pancha Mahabhuta Tattvas. Okay, so which are there from our Vedic times, right? Okay, and you see the architecture of Jaipur. Okay, it's again based on the 9 grids, and in 9 grids, and it's not only about this Pancha Mahabhuta Tattva, but it's about understanding even about the planetary systems and Vastu Purush Mandala. So our architectural system and the urban planning system was much more evolved than what are the influences that we see. And what is happening is, with this focus again coming on towards the sustainability, we are going back again to our roots. I mean, see, you and I, we are in Mumbai, but why every weekend we go to Mahabaleshwar or Lonavala? Okay, because we want to go back to the nature. So our always journey has been kind of how we can suppose, and how we can bring that Lonavala now in our urban homes. Can we do that? Okay, so it's like, going back again to the roots, going back again to the nature, and getting the kind of sustainable models which are adapted in our development. Another focus with the modern technologies is in terms of the recyclable material, plastic ban, reuse of the things, optimizing of the resources. So these are the kind of fundamentals now with which we work, which are institutionalized to go back to our sustainable journey.
Even in the construction, I believe, especially in the urban living metro cities, the kind of materials now we have started using, keeping in mind how much, the sun rays are there, or how much the rainfall is going to happen, which was not considered as much by the developers. By now, it's because this is the first priority even for the home buyers to understand. Especially in Maharashtra, if the rainfall is for 4-5 months, are my walls going to be strong enough, or the seepage, everything. I think these detailing has been now gone into much depth than the surface area like how it was before.
True. So I will not say that it has not happened that the developers were not greedy. I mean, they will always be greedy, and it's good for the business also to be greedy. But greedy not by harming the nature. I mean, yes, we all are in the business and we have to do the profit, but profit not at the cost of the next generation. So I'll tell you one story which has happened in front of me. In one of the developers in the meet where the young boys were also there, and the one developer we are always talking about, and one child, very innocent boy, people were leaving the half glasses filled, half drinking and half left, kind of a thing. And that boy, very innocently asked, "And why you are wasting so much of the water? Are you going to leave something for us?"
Right.
In the and that was a kind of a very touching question. And when I went on the dais, I spoke about that incident. And I'm saying this is a kind of a small example, but after that, many developers or many professionals, they called me back and they say, it was a kind of an example which was an eye opener for us, and we'll ensure, because whatever we are going to save, it's going to be for our next generation.
Right.
And whatever we are earning for what? I mean, ourselves little bit, but we always consider for our next generation. So we use all the resources and don't leave something for the next generation. What is the development that we are doing into? So people have started understanding this, and I think that, I can say about the 90% of the developers today we are dealing it, in some of the other manners, suppliers, developers, vendor, contractors, they have understood the importance of the sustainable development. So having said that, Mahindra Lifespaces, our all projects are the green projects. We were the only developer amongst the country where all the projects are the green development, green projects. Our most of the projects are gold and platinum certified projects, and now we are going about Gruha 4-star and 5-star kind of a category. These projects.
That's nice. So good you brought the young generation in the picture, because my next question is regarding nowadays young generation have a lot of influencers in their life, and especially the influencer like Marie Kondo has been quite famous, where minimalism has become the necessity. So be the young buyers or the current buyers, they want their home or the kitchen to be designed more on the design statement front than a functional front. So do you believe that our Indian developers have started heading towards this direction compared to the Western market?
See, Indian architecture, I will tell you the basic difference between the Indian architecture and Western architecture, and see how it is been in our culture. How the cultures are different. You see the Western architecture, it's more linear. Okay, there are straight forms, there are clean lines. Whereas you see the Indian architecture, it has got more forms which are more articulated, it has got more domes, and there is more kind of an repetitions. I'll explain you in a little more further. You see, even the music. You see the Western musics. Okay, whether you take Beethoven or whether you take any Western music where the symphonies, where all the orchestras, those that more kind of plain and very linear kind of soundtracks that you will see. Whereas you see the Indian music is more cyclic. You go a little bit and then you again come back to the same town. So Indians are a little different. In India, we have got we also believe in rebirth. We also believe there is a life after death. So all those kind of things. Where in the Western culture, it's a kind of it goes from one to other end. There is no kind of coming back to that. So in Indian architecture also, you'll see all over, even in the mud houses which you see in the Kutch. It's not only about building that mud house. You'll always see those floral motifs and rangolis and all those things, kind of an articulation. Is it necessary for living? No, it's not necessary for living. Okay. Those houses can be, as comfortable as, but we always believe, into some of the kind of things which gives you the visual comfort, which has got some kind of a supernatural powers, or, the kind of a deities and all those kind of things when we do our homes and houses. So when we do, whether it's a kitchen or whether it's a bedroom or whether it's a living room, Indians have always believed in certain kind of an articulation, which is absent when you look at the European architecture. So yes, with the kind of a modern technology, modern living conditions, all those things have started again becoming kind of driven by the modularization, contemporary fixtures, and all those things. But bringing the things which are used in European countries or in the American countries, and directly adopting in the Indian household has not worked successfully. And I have seen, I can tell you many examples, where I have done the luxury homes or the even in the affordable homes. I mean, people have used it for some time and they have changed it to their lifestyles.
So you believe this is going to stay for a while, especially when it comes to Indian real estate. The designs are not going to be the overall factor compared to the functional designs.
No, designs will definitely be the factor, but the designs which are minimalistic, or what is that Marie Kondo's, decluttering is always good. I mean, It's like taking out your negative energies and making you feel good in the environment. That always has to be there. I mean, it has to be there in your home also. It has to be in your mind also. You have to take out all the negative things which are not getting used. In the starting of the design also, you do that, which I told you about doing the paintings and the poem. It's again the process, similar process. It's decluttering of the mind and getting the best. So it's similar about the home. That's the most important thing. Having said that, what I'm trying to say is everything which is machine finished, everything which is non-articulated or just a kind of a minimalistic, that is not going to work in the Indian scenario. Indian scenario always will be the more customized and the personal level design touch and feel.
No, I agree, because we have seen few Western brands coming into the market, but they are not able to penetrate in their kind of, designs. They have to adapt the Indian design to sell it to the customers. So that kind of changes also are happening when it comes to even home decor.
Yeah, I'll tell you one fantastic example. When I was debating with one of my professors and senior colleague, see our cooking. The way we cook. There is a huge difference the way we cook and the way the Western world cooks. There it's more kind of a dry and kind of a where we are doing a lot of wet cooking using a lot of spices and all. Yeah. There they use, I'm telling you just for the material, they use the Korean or sometimes, even the kind of a laminate on the top of the kitchen platform. We have got a lot of the spices and turmeric and all. How do we use that? It will start getting the stains. You must be baking coconut in your house, right? Where do you break the coconut? Can you hit it on the plywood platform? You can't hit it on the plywood platform. And that's the kind of a very important ingredient. I'll tell you one very interesting thing. In Singapore, when we are doing these kind of studies of the houses, I saw that, there was a bathtub which was placed in the bedroom, master bedroom, and not in the bathroom. And that bathtub was also visible from one of the lounges area, which was next to the living room. And it was not a very big house. It was just a kind of a 2.5 bedroom kind of a house. So I'm saying, see, this is the kind of a modern lookout. Okay, first is, when somebody goes to the, in this kind of Western cultures, some guest comes, first he will take the appointment on the phone. Then he will come, then he will, at your, probably before coming to the house, you will get to know that who has come. And, there are very rarely the people, those that are not close to you, do not go to the house. And there, if somebody is even in the tub and in the guest comes, probably they don't mind. Can you imagine this scenario in our culture?
Of course not.
We are not become that modern yet. Yeah. So I'm saying, see, this is a kind of a cultural shift. I will tell you, I have designed one housing which was more like a women-oriented housing. During my budding or the founding days, and we did that kind of an housing concept, and it was a kind of a competition. And amongst, we were the kind of first runner-ups in that competition, and got the national level award also. So what we had done is, when we did that housing, we placed the kitchen in the front. Okay. So that, because see what happens in our culture, the main person, not Vastu, main person of the house, he will go somewhere into his, office or in the industries or wherever factory, where he works. Who remains in the house? Then the housewife remains in the house. So in the old houses, you see that all the kitchens in the linear houses, the kitchens were at the back and the living rooms were at the front. Okay. And that way, you don't have any control where what is happening in the front and who comes and who goes. So we did the planning in such a way that the kitchens are around the living room and then the bedrooms going to the front. So that when the housewife is there, she has got the overall kind of a control of who is coming and who is going, and she gets her view, or she gets her kind of a window to the outside world also, what is happening. So which is a kind of a opening up of her mind also, what is happening in the day-to-day life. So that is the one psychological impact which happens. Second is, again, we put those clusters in such a way, through the rear entry, which was given to the kitchen and to the utility. All these, housewives or the homemakers, they can come together, without getting onto the main roads. And that becomes a kind of their own private community space. And, it will start developing that, what we call Kutirodhyog, or what we call as a rural industry, doing the papads and doing the pickles and all those things. Those activities, they can do it in their private space.
Right.
So it was a kind of how the architecture empowers the community living as well. So this is the culture. This is the Indian culture, and this is how we work. And whereas in the Western culture, you will not find all these things. So we have to take the right things, right, from the developed world. So what is important to take from the Western world is, the technology. I can say the systematic way of working. Disciplined in terms of the way they work, with the cost and budgets and all those things. Project do not overrun over the time and the cost. So these are all the good things which we have to take from the Western world.